30 years after his passing, Donald Pleasance is still remembered as an iconic figure of both stage and screen, forever etched in memory for his portrayal of Dr. Sam Loomis in the Halloween series. Even so, there are lesser-known aspects to this accomplished actor that you probably aren't as familiar with. He was a Shakespearean performer and a war hero whose WW2 imprisonment shaped his worldview. Join Factsverse as we explore the untold truth about Donald's extraordinary life. Early life. Donald Pleasance was born in 1919 in the small mining town of Worksop in Nottinghamshire. He came from a working-class upbringing, with his father, Thomas, laboring as a railway station master to provide for the family. Donald was one of two sons, growing up alongside his brother in the industrial community. From a young age, he showed a keen interest in dramatics. He enjoyed telling stories and entertaining others, sparking aspirations of a career in performance. His natural charisma and talent for embodying characters brought him recognition amongst teachers while attending local schools. But entering into the 1920s and 30s, pursuing the unpredictable life of an actor was hardly seen as a practical or financially viable career path for a working-class boy. Despite support from parents who encouraged his passions, they weren't in a position to fund drama lessons or expensive drama training. So he reluctantly took up an office job as a clerk in the railway industry like his father before him. But he refused to abandon his hopes of acting. Every spare moment was dedicated to involvement in amateur theatrical societies and continuing to practice his craft. Determined to transform his hobby into a livelihood, he saved funds for several years to apply to prestigious drama schools. His applications to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art and other institutions were unfortunately rejected, but he refused to give in. He kept pounding the pavement for any acting work open to him. His big break finally came in 1939 in the form of a role with a regional theater company on the Isle of Jersey. Experiences during and after World War II. Just as he was gaining momentum in his theatrical career, Europe descended into war in World War II. Like millions of other men, he faced the difficult choice of whether to join the war effort or claim conscientious objector status. Given his working-class background and newfound success, escaping combat likely seemed a better option. But as the conflict escalated, he felt an increased civic duty to contribute. After training, he was deployed as a member of the No. 166 Squadron, operating airborne radar and gunnery on Wellington and Lancaster bombers. Pleasance took part in dozens of dangerous sorties over German-occupied territory, but luck ran out in August of 1944 during a raid when his aircraft was shot down. Ejecting by parachute, he landed behind enemy lines in northern France and was promptly captured. Over the next year, he endured imprisonment in the brutal Stalagluft 1 POW camp in Poland, subjected to starvation, brutal labor, and psychological torture at the hands of guards. It was during this dark period that his talent truly helped others. He organized secret theater productions and magicians' performances to boost morale for his fellow inmates. This creative outlet provided brief mental escape from the grim reality of the camp. It also allowed Pleasance to continue honing his craft, even under the most challenging circumstances. Finally liberated as Soviet forces advanced on the camp in 1945, Pleasance returned to Britain gravely malnourished in body and spirit. It took tremendous willpower and many months to recuperate. Dedicated to honoring those who never made it home, Pleasance dove back into performing with a newfound passion. Iconic film performances. After having proven himself on British television throughout the 50s with memorable roles in projects like 1984, Pleasance began to gain recognition across the pond. International filmmakers took notice of his chilling screen presence and knack for inhabiting unsettling characters. While this typecasting brought steady work, Pleasance yearned to break out of the villain mold and demonstrate his full range as an artist. An opportunity arrived in 1963 with The Great Escape. Based on real-life events, the World War II drama hit close to home for Pleasance due to his own experiences as a POW. His nuanced supporting turn as RAF forger Colin Blythe was grounded in first-hand account, bringing audiences a refreshing glimpse at vulnerability rather than menace from the actor. Abandoning his usual villainous roots paid off, with critics lauding Pleasance's most moving performance to date. he had proven there were still untapped depths to uncover. 15 years later, John Carpenter came knocking with an ambitious, low-budget horror project titled Halloween. Envisioning Pleasance as the key role of Dr. Samuel Loomis, a psychiatrist obsessed with capturing his deranged former patient Michael Myers, Carpenter recognized the actor's everyman paternal qualities mixed with a growing ability to convey terror. Pleasance dove in, anchoring the independent shocker released in 1978. To everyone's surprise, Halloween became a massive box office phenomenon that tapped into audiences' primal fears. His heroic average man fighting overwhelming evil resonated globally. Throughout his illustrious career, one part remained that seemed etched for Pleasance alone: supervillain Ernst Stavro Blofeld. The 1967 Bond film You Only Live Twice called upon Pleasance's natural magnetism and ability to project cold, calculating menace. As the head of the criminal Spectre organization, he crafted the character who became an icon of the franchise. Later struggles and highlights. As he entered his 60s in the late 1970s, he found roles began to dry up. Ageism is unavoidable in an industry that favors youth. While still active, he grew frustrated taking whatever low-quality productions or caricature roles came his way from exploitative B-movie directors, just to pay mounting bills. Behind the scenes, health issues also emerged that exacerbated money troubles. As a lifelong smoker, Pleasance developed emphysema that required costly medical treatment. This dependency on work added pressure to constantly fulfill commitments, despite projects offering little artistic fulfillment or challenge. He voiced private unhappiness at being pigeonholed into lousy films, contrary to his abilities. A rare highlight comes in '81 when Pleasance joined forces with one more director, John Carpenter, for sci-fi actioner Escape from New York. As the staunch yet vulnerable U.S. president, unwittingly marooned in a lawless dystopia, Pleasance proved he could still command major roles where his gravitas enhanced even pulpy genre material. Ever faithful to his most iconic creation, Pleasance agreed to return as Dr. Samuel Loomis for the fourth and fifth Halloween installments in 1988 and '89. While these sequels lacked the same refinement, they allowed for one final chance to revisit his most indelible screen manifestation. Tragically, he passed away from heart failure before seeing the unreleased footage of his final Loomis performance in 1995's Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers. He spent a lifetime perfecting his craft, only to have it cut short before receiving the accolades deserved. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite memory of Donald Pleasance? Let us know in the comments section below.